What might be the best carry gun of 2022 is one that is the most shocking to me personally. This is Smith & Wesson Equalizer. Now, some of you may be thinking, what? And personally, that's what I'm thinking. I just did a video on this not too long ago, just on a really first impressions and a little bit of comparison with some other guns. I said I have to get this thing to the range, and I thought the biggest downfall of this gun turns out to be not much of a factor at all. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to take you to the range with me because the footage will speak for itself. I'm going to talk about how this thing carries a little bit, and then tell you all of the features that make this and might actually make this the best carry gun of 2022. As shocked as I am, I'm going to walk you through this, and you guys let me know what you think after the video. What you think about the Equalizer and the results that I'm showing you here today. Big thanks to Smith & Wesson for sending this out so I can bring you a review, pros and cons and everything. You know how we do it. So we're going to talk about a lot in this video. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Now I'm going to throw the specs up here really quick, but in that initial video I actually did some comparison with some other guns, so you may want to check that out if you want to get an idea of, you know, where this gun kind of falls in the size department to others, right? So we won't talk about that too much, but what they've done here is essentially made a 2.0 version of the EZ. Although they changed the name, the concept is still the same. So you have an internally hammer-fired gun instead of a striker. So that allows the slide to be super easy to manipulate. So who is this for? It can be for really anyone. I mean, honestly, I've kind of deemed it the carry gun that could be for anyone. You know, I mean, anyone can use this, whether you're an elderly person, maybe you have carpal tunnel, maybe you have arthritis, maybe you're a woman, maybe you're a small man, maybe you just want a gun that's easy to rack. I don't know, but the technology is pretty incredible in the way they figured out how to do this. Now, instead of having the fish scale style serrations, and they now have these deeply cut, easy to rack slide serrations front and rear, and they are really deeply cut into the slide right there. And then they also have this little wing back here, and that was in the original Easy as well, and that allows you to get a little bit extra purchase on the back of the slide here. Now, one thing that is awesome that they did is they actually sent this gun to me with this Holosun EPS carry, and let me tell you, this dot, I know you're not going to be able to see it well, but this dot is smooth, man. I personally like the body and the style of it. It's kind of got more of a squared off look. Little small, you know, area back here where your set screws, adjustment screw, of course. It's got, in the way it should be, it's got the battery compartment on the side so you don't have to take it off. Dot is pretty awesome. You have a viewport up here so you can see your brass down in the chamber. The sights do not co-witness, and to be honest with you, I was hitting pretty low with the iron sights, so it's more of a 12 o'clock hold with those. Printing a little bit low. And then once I put the dot on, I want to say I made one minor adjustment after I said I didn't need to make an adjustment. You know, things just happen like that. And once I made that adjustment, it was on. All right, so now I put the EPS carry on here. Holosun dot, man, this is a really nice, really clear, nice dot. So let's hope that the payoff is as good as it looks, because it definitely looks good. Has the side compartment for the battery, so you don't have to take it off, which is fantastic. And I didn't even have to do any adjustments. I took some quick shots and it seems to be pretty much spot on. So let's try it. Very nice. Let's try 13 rounder. Penis target. Whoo, last round 2, let's go. By the way, I'm not loading these all the way up because ammo's expensive. So if you'd like to become a patron, you can do that. $1 a month, help me out. Thank you. As opposed to your Shields and your Shield Plus and the Performance Center, you actually have a Picatinny rail down here. So if you wanted this as like a, you know, maybe a first gun or your only gun right now, and you wanted it for home defense, you want to slap on a light or something at the end of the day, you want to carry it, you know, whatever, you can do that easily or easier on this gun than you can the Shield Plus. Takedown lever, slide stop, magazine release is reversible. Comes with a 10, 13, and 15 round magazine, which is nice, man. I was so happy to see this in the box when they sent it because I don't have one for my Shield Plus. And I was like, man, this is kind of fantastic. Very nice. Dude, this thing shoots really, really nice. Wow. Yeah, that 15 round mag is really, it feels really good too, man. You get a full grip with that thing, but even with the 10 and the 13 round, this thing is shooting incredibly well. Now I did bring the EZ with me, so just to do a little bit in comparison and see how much better or worse or the same this is to that. I'm glad I did that. Let's take some more shots here. Somebody said, man, that 15 round magazine means I can stick with the Shield Plus and I don't have to go with, I think they said the Macro, maybe the Hellcat Pro, I don't really remember. So that's when I was like, you know what? Macro, Hellcat Pro, Spectra Comp, and maybe some others. I'm gonna do a size comparison with this gun and kind of give you an idea how all those look. But that's a, you know, a little bit in the future, not too far in the future, but a little bit into the future. But regardless, 3 magazines is what it comes with, and those mags are compatible with the Shield Plus. Fantastic move there. The original EZ, the mags were proprietary. Now, in order to stick with the EZ moniker, they gave you an Uplula speed loader or assist loader actually with the equalizer. So you actually get one of those when you buy one of these guns because these mags are not nearly as easy to load as the original. So that's why they gave you that to stick with that. They don't want you having a gun, right, that's easy to rack and you can't put any freaking bullets in, you know what I mean? So the loader is definitely a nice addition to keep with the whole premise of this gun. Grip safety back here, rounded off. Pretty much passive, but kind of unnecessary in my opinion. I'm not really a fan of it. Giving away a little bit on the cons section, but whatever. The grip texturing here is actually really good. It's not as aggressive as the M2.0, which was too aggressive. This strikes a nice balance, feels good in the hand, it locks into your hand, but at the same time, it's not gonna tear your skin up or anything like that. One thing you're not gonna get, obviously, with this grip safety, it's extra grip panels on the back here. So you're not gonna get the ability to change that out there. Hey, if you made it this far, I appreciate it. And if you are not already subscribed, hit that little button down below and hit your notification box. Love to have you join our community right here. And also looking for ideas on what I can do to make Patreon a better option for you and to get more patrons to join the community here. We have a small group over there of dedicated fans. We want to grow that community and continue to ensure that I can do videos and even better videos and continue to do what we do here. So any suggestions on something that would entice you to join Patreon if you've been on the fence and something that would kind of lead you over there as well, love to hear those down below. I'll leave a link to my Patreon page if you want to help support what I do right here. Love to have you, man. Big thanks to you guys. Trigger. We're going to talk about the trigger here. Internal extractor, by the way, and other than that, that's pretty much it. High enough beaver tail. The size, weight, capacity is really good. It's going to be heavier than the Shield Plus by a little bit, but again, it gives you a super soft shooting Micro 9. If there was ever such a thing, well, you're looking at it right here. Because it has a little bit more weight, because it's not the smallest Micro 9 out there, makes it much more shootable than some of the other options. And that's where I was impressed the most. Now again, my initial shots, I was shooting kind of low, needed more of a 12 o'clock hold. I put the dot on there and this thing just became mind-blowing, honestly. I mean, I'm at the range with my dad and I'm like, dude, I can't believe how good this thing is shooting. So when I get this thing out of the box, I'm thinking to myself, there's no way this is going to be good. There's no way this is going to be that good with that trigger. I did not see it. And I thought, man, what a step back for Smith & Wesson with this trigger. I didn't want to jump to conclusions. That's why I didn't say it in the video, but that's why I wasn't overly excited about this. As a matter of fact, when they told me about the release of this thing, I kind of rolled my eyes when I seen what it was. I was like, not this again. And I think I remember telling y'all in 2019 when I flew up there, I was expecting a competitor to the 365 and we ended up getting the EZ, which I rolled my eyes about. And then I changed my mind about it after I shot it and I seen how good this thing can be for so many different kinds of people. I felt almost the same way about this, although I was a little more excited because it uses Shield Plus mags. It has some really great features. Drop the mag, make sure we're clear. You hit the wall, it stacks up, and it breaks. Reset. Right there. Not great on paper. Not great if you were to pick this up in a gun shop. But again, at the range where it matters, it was pretty fantastic. And it's funny, man, when I went to go pick this up, some of the guys were like, man, why would they do this? I hate this thing. And, you know, I'm pretty open-minded, dude. I'm like, you know, I got to give this thing a fair shake. And I'm so glad I did. I'm so glad that, you know, sometimes as a reviewer, I have to be open-minded, right? I think that makes a good reviewer. If you're willing to try different stuff, if you're willing to take advice, then that pays off a lot of the times. There's some times where I jump to conclusions, like everybody, but on this, I didn't. Was I super stoked about taking it? Not really, not really, but so glad that I did. And to me, you know, you can put as many rounds in these guns as you want and continue to increase the capacity, but when you have one that you feel truly comfortable with, that's what makes the best carry guns, in my opinion. Now, everybody's different, and fortunately, no matter how different you really are, doesn't matter. There's an option out there that can be good for you and is right for you on some level. Now, let me talk about the holster that they sent with it. What I did, because I said this in the initial unboxing, the holster that Smith & Wesson sent is a crossbreed style holster. The company itself, I like their company. I like what they stand for. I'm a fan. It comes with this magazine carrier on here, and I was like, you know, let me take that off. I already know that I don't like it. I don't want to use it. Well, when I took it off, it actually compresses the shell enough. So the shell is like a Kydex shell, right? And then of course it's got the leather backing and a little bit of suede or some type of material back here. Well, this magazine carrier actually has two additional bushings. If you look right here, these two bushings right here, there's two more right here, which allows the shell to stay expanded enough so you can reholster the gun. Well, I didn't think about that. I just put it on. I took this off, put it to the side, and when I went to reholster, you know, you can see as I started to put it in, that little bit of extra space that those bushings now don't have any support. There's no support here on this part of the shell. That's what kind of caused it to collapse, which made it a little bit harder to get back into the holster, I should say. Not too hard to get out of the holster, but back in. And you can see, it doesn't have like that super audible snap, but it's held in place definitely good enough to be safe for sure. So it's not a bad holster by any means. I'm kind of waiting on holster at this point so I can really carry this thing. But to give you an idea of how it carried, it's a little bit more weight than a Shield Plus. It's about the same as the Performance Center Shield Plus. So I do want to point out this crossbreed holster does two things really well. First of all, most importantly, it securely holds the gun, but these clips are really probably the best clips that I've seen on any holster so far because they do these two things. They hold the belt really well. This is a Core Essentials gun belt. So it holds the belt really well and tight, but yet they're not so rigid that you can't pop them right off when you're ready to take it off. The gun conceals extremely well. I'm at about the 3 o'clock position. Even with the 15 round mag, man, this thing conceals amazing. I think my biggest issue with this holster specifically is kind of the shark fin style sweat guard. I'm just not a huge fan of that. I'm not a huge fan of having something like that type of material on my skin, and I think it's just a little bit too much material. So it's kind of like even when you have the gun in the holster, that little part of that shark fin, if you will, just kind of sticks into my side depending on what kind of movements I'm making. And so I think if just a little bit more of that material was cut off, this honestly, it's a really good design. And that's why I say I like crossbreed. So maybe not this specific crossbreed, but in general, they make some really good stuff. So I just wanted to point that out. This thing conceals really well with this holster. Let me talk about everything I like here really quick. I love the way this gun shoots. I think that's pretty obvious from the way the video's gone. It shoots so much better than it should. Side serrations, fantastic. The EPS carry, first impressions, that thing is awesome. Grip texturing, magazine release, everything on this gun is great. Not a huge fan of the sights, not a huge fan of a 12 o'clock hold. I'd much rather have a 6 o'clock hold. But like I said, I'll be using this thing with a dot most of the time. I trust Holosun. If I ever had to use it, you know, if the dot ever goes down and I have to use the backups, that's going to really suck, man. You know, they don't co-witness, not really at all. But regardless, I do trust Holosun. They make a good product. So I like to have my irons, but at the same time, it kind of is what it is. You know, I mean, you put taller sights on here to co-witness. I hate when companies do that, especially when you know it's going to be optics ready or for an optic. But what can you do? All in all, take Shield Plus magazines. Fantastic shooter. This thing is great, man. I'm not a huge fan of the grip safety, and I wasn't really a huge fan of the trigger, but the thing shoots awesome. It doesn't have to be a lightweight trigger to shoot well. It just needs to be predictable, and that's what this trigger and gun offers. Now let me break it down here really quick. The breakdown should be as easy as the gun itself, which it is. Slide stop down, take this off, don't engage the grip safety, and it comes right off. Single captive recoil spring, show you that, right? Barrel, boom, all that kind of stuff. The most interesting part of this, or something you don't see too often, there's the inside of the slide, by the way, back of the firing pin, is the internal hammer. I'll let it forward on my finger, but you can see the internal hammer right there. That's where the magic is, and that's what makes it easy to use. Breakdown is as simple and easy as using the gun and shooting the gun and carrying the gun. I think this seriously might be the best carry gun of the year, man. You know, with all of these companies now competing to get the most rounds into their guns, there's some companies that are doing it really well that I love. Others, not so much. But to really stand out to me is now, all right, we all know that these companies can get a bunch of rounds into a much smaller gun. How good does that gun still shoot? And because this one shoots so fantastic. This has to be top 2 of best shooting carry guns in 2022. I have to really go back and look at the things that I've reviewed this year to see, but I want to say probably, if not the best, top 2 for sure. The Shield Plus has been out for some time, so I don't really want to count that, but this thing is really impressive, dude. I'm blown away by it. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are, man. Did you kind of feel the same way as me when you first seen that initial review, or when you first seen the gun or release of the gun? Were you thinking, why? Well, kind of like I was? Or were you kind of stoked for it right from the beginning? Are you stoked for it now that you've seen how this thing performs? Or are you just kind of about it? Love to know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you want to support what I do, you can do that through Patreon for $1. Link is in the description. Big thanks to you guys. See you in the next one. And as always, hold them down.